Well, hello, everybody. I'm Burns Hargis, president of Oklahoma State University, and we're here for another edition of Inside OSU. And we really are getting inside OSU because we're going to talk to two of the key people in our research mission here at Oklahoma State. Of course, research is one of the three main core missions of a land-grant university, and so we take it very seriously, and we're very proud of our research area. And so I want to welcome first of all, the new Vice President for Research here at Oklahoma State, Kenneth Sewell. Kenneth, welcome.
Thank you.
And you've been here since July, I think?
Started at the very end of June and
Great.
All through July. I'm an old timer now and halfway through August.
And speaking of old timers, we've really got an old timer here like I am with David Waits. David was a professor here at Oklahoma State and then went into business with SST Software. And he is heading up the Oklahoma State University Research Foundation. So welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Let's talk some research.
Absolutely.
But first, let's talk a little background. Give everybody a quick thumbnail sketch of your background.
Yeah, well, I'm from Coweta, Oklahoma.
South of Muskogee there?
Just actually north of Muskogee, south of Tulsa, and have been out in the academic world for the last 30 years or so, and finally found my way back to Oklahoma where I belong. But I started my academic career after going to undergraduate at Kansas State and graduate school at the University of Kansas. I started at the University of North Texas and was there for many years and spent some years at the University of New Orleans as their Vice President for Research. And now where I belong is Oklahoma State University as Vice President.
People should also know that you played a little football at K-State.
Well, that was back in the days when it was when being on the football team at Kansas State didn't necessarily equate to playing football, but I was on the team in the not so glory years.
Now, are we going to have to cleanse your closet of purple before K-State comes to town?
I admit to having a little purple, but I promise not to have it on in Stillwater.
That's all right. And David, you were a professor of geography, weren't you?
I was. I taught the Geographic Information System, GIS classes, remote sensing, and spatial analysis.
You were involved at NASA, weren't you, when GPS was being developed?
Well, I worked at a NASA commercialization center at Stennis Space Center, Mississippi, prior to coming to Oklahoma State in a commercialization program. It's like coming full circle.
And tell us what SST does.
Well, SST is a precision agriculture software development company, and we also specialize in data management for our clients with a centralized repository of site-specific data. And
that's right here in Stillwater.
That's right here in Stillwater.
And your son Matt's running that company now.
Yes, Matt is the CEO. I stepped down as CEO about 3 years ago, and
we recruited you to Oklahoma State University
That's
Research
right.
Foundation.
That's correct.
Well, great. Well, let's talk a little bit. OSURF, as we call it, Oklahoma State University Research Foundation, actually has been around a long time, but it was called the Center for Innovation and Economic Development at one time. But I gather your mission is to secure and promote research projects for Kenneth's faculty, right?
That is correct. CIED was not only renamed, but we've repurposed it as the OSU Research Foundation, and we are focusing on the technology transfer activities for the university as the technology transfer arm.
Well, let's get into that. But first, Kenneth, you've, of course, only been here a couple of months now, so it's probably not fair to make you drill down too deep on the research here at Oklahoma State, but tell me what your impressions are.
Oh, absolutely. Well, first of all, Oklahoma State University is a comprehensive university. We have expertise across a wide range of disciplines here at the university, and as a land grant with an agricultural school and a veterinary medicine component, we certainly have that agriculture and some of the background that you came from. The precision ag and how geography blends into that. But we have things going on in the arts and in humanities and in the social sciences, in particular in some of like psychology, which is in that cusp between the social sciences and what are sometimes called the hard sciences, but things in pediatric oncology and the psychology of pediatric illness and so forth. So those are just examples, but certainly in the engineering college we have fantastic work going on with unmanned aerial systems. Within agriculture and in the veterinary medicine side, we have toxicology work going that studies the toxicology of animals and that has direct application to human toxicology. So we have things going on across the board at the university that involves research that's funded from state, federal, and industry sources.
Right. So there's also an entity called Cowboy Technologies.
That's correct.
That kind of goes to your technology transfer or commercialization role.
Well, you know, a lot of our innovations that come out of faculty are patented. Intellectual property protection is done at the Technology Development Center, which is in OSU Research Foundation now. And so that's the traditional way of commercializing technology, to license and distribute royalties. But Cowboy Technologies is the next step, where we take certain innovations and actually create companies and stand up management teams to run the companies, and provide seed money through Cowboy Technologies. And
you didn't have that when you started SST,
no,
did you?
No, and I would have, I would have thought that was a very good program back in the early '90s. I certainly would have.
That's and describe. Have you got some companies that you're working with?
We do. We have about at least six companies that are up and going in various stages. The whole initiative is only a couple of years old, so we're not really well developed with company formation yet, but we're making very good progress.
This is really a pretty new effort across the higher education, isn't it? I mean, there's not a lot of universities that have really gone very far with this so far.
No, that does appear to be the case, and we're trying to look at other models, other universities, so that we may learn from them and not make the same mistakes that others have made. But you are correct.
What's an example of just tell us a little bit about one of your company. I know, for example, this roll-to-roll technology is rolling.
Yeah, it's rolling. Roll-to-roll Technologies is making lateral guides for manufacturers of diapers, any material that's rolled on the big rollers that have differing widths and need to be adjusted on the fly. What these lateral guides that are driven by sensors keep everything in line, so the equipment does not have to be shut down in the process and
change the die.
And so, you know, that's one of the companies, and we have several others. One is an arsenic adsorbent for water purification that has shown real promise in removing toxic materials from heavy metals from water.
And then there's the energy research that's going on with the National Energy Solutions Institute.
Right, NESI. And what we're doing is working with industry to fund particular research projects that then get passed over to the VPR's office. Kenneth and the faculty we're providing funding to them for specific deliverables in energy research.
And the sponsor of that is CREC here, the Rural Electric Cooperative run by David Swank.
That is correct, and other rural electric cooperatives that are working in conjunction with David's leadership, right. And also CoBank out of Wichita is a large funder of this program.
Yeah. Kenneth, I know our research expenditures are about $130 million.
Yeah, and that's sometimes confusing to people on the outside of a university of what we mean when we say research expenditures at a certain level. But right now, on an annual basis, about $130 million a year. But that's just a metric that's used across the country to be able to try to compare one university with another about how much research is going on. They just count how many dollars we spend on research, but most of those dollars are acquired from other entities, some at the state level, some at the corporate level, but many of those are dollars we get in the form of federal grants that then we don't really get to count them until we spend them, because that says we are doing the research when we spend them. But it's just one of the many metrics that we use in looking at the strength of a research university. And my goal is really to elevate our status as a research university, and I try to do that by helping our faculty get the resources they need to do the research at the highest level possible. So the more dollars we have, the higher level of that research we can do by spending those dollars on research. But then also to help that research have the greatest impact that it can possibly have. Now, in some disciplines, the impact is changing some policy at a political level or at the state or national level. And other disciplines, the impact might just be a journal article where they publish that and it gets out there to the discipline. But in some areas, and this is where our partnership really comes key, those innovations that could potentially impact the economic world around us, they can't really have that great impact until we protect those ideas in the form of patents often, and then get it moving into industry by either forming a company or licensing those technologies to existing companies, so that the innovations that happen in Stillwater in the lab or in Tulsa in the lab or other places under the OSU umbrella are out there in the economic world driving change.
I know we've got a record amount for us of royalty income that's coming in and helping fund research.
Yeah, and it does help fund research, and we do exactly the right thing with it. We pour it right back into developing those next ideas, commercializing those next ideas. You know, you mentioned our land grant mission. You know, research, instruction, and outreach, or sometimes called service, but it's outreach and extension. Yeah. We don't, as you know very well, we don't do this to make money at it. We do this to have an impact and serve the communities that we're responsible to. And so we're able to get some of those royalty incomes off of a variety of technologies and inventions, many of which are wheat varieties and some of which are UAV platforms that have been developed and protected. But we pour those funds right back into helping our faculty get that research done at the highest level, and then helping them impact the community. And sometimes the community is the student in the classroom. Often it's the academic community. But then as often as we possibly can have it be, it's the business world where we're getting those innovations at play.
That's I wanted to talk about that, because it sounds like there's really kind of two kinds of research. There's theoretical research, just trying to find the truth about matters without any particular application in mind. Mm-hmm. And then there's applied research, which I know we do a lot of. The wheat varieties is a good example of what you're talking about. But industry has a lot of questions. For example, right now we're dealing with this saltwater disposal issue, and what can we do with this saltwater? Right. And when you see a problem like that, does the Vice President of Research call the President of the Oklahoma State Research Foundation and say, we got to figure this out, you need to find some money, I got some guys that can research it?
We almost don't have to pick up the phone, because we're talking so often and in person that it's just a part of our everyday conversation. But yes, and we're looking for where those resources can come from, and often we're looking to who the stakeholders are, because as you mentioned, industry, many of our corporate partners simply cannot afford to have a full-scale R&D arm within the context of their particular company.
Well, as a matter of fact, the University Multispectral Labs organization in Ponca City is in the old Conoco research facility, which they did away with and gave us the building, which was great. And they're involved in a lot of work for the military, right, David?
That is right. They are primarily a defense contractor, or work on Department of Defense contracts, and certainly work in the area of applied research.
Talk about the Oklahoma State University Research Park on the west side of town here in Stillwater.
Yes, well, it is a new asset for the university that we're very proud of, and we plan to continue to build that park out and make it very important to our total research effort.
What's going on out there now?
Well, we have a
The lakes look nice, by the way.
Yeah, we got the lakes cleaned up, and they're a lot bluer than they used to be. But we have the Cowboy Technologies group is in the Morgan building at the Research Park, and the Technology Development Center has recently been moved from campus out to the Research Park.
And that's the entity that
Does
the
the
faculty
patenting.
bring.
Yeah.
They do the disclosures.
That's correct. The disclosures go to the Technology Development Center, and then we file the patents, and the licensing and royalty distribution takes place at TDC. So that's all located in the Morgan building. And then there's another building that Kenneth is in charge of called the Venture One building.
The Venture One building, we have a variety of researchers there, particularly researchers that have a little bit of an industry face to the work they do. And we've got some of that space is currently being rented by one of our other tenants of the park, and they're looking to perhaps downsize their footprint in our building. They're keeping their building, and that's going to allow us to deploy some more of our university assets with that industry face out at the park.
What are some other strategies you have, Dr. Sewell, for increasing research expenditures at OSU?
Yeah, well, one of the main strategies, and this may sound like it's something on the surface, but I actually believe it's much deeper than that, is to help our faculty through the deans and the various groups that are the organizations on campus to identify and agree upon what our priorities are. So we're good at so many things, but when we go to our funders, and particularly when we go to our federal delegation and talk to them about what we're good at and what we need their help with, if we're talking about 35 different things, we lose the capacity to really bring them on board for the big stuff. And so we're going to be identifying over the course of the coming months the real high poles, the things that we're going to really be able to hang our hats on at OSU, that we're going to be going after big multi-institutional and center type grants, and be able to.
A good example of that is this recent grant, $6 million grant from the federal government to OSU as the lead.
Yes.
With our friends down in Norman, as well as
Nebraska and Kentucky, both on that. And yes,
and
that's a good example.
UASs. That's in weather forecasting.
Unmanned aerial systems, but particularly as it deploys weather forecasting and weather analysis tools. And so that's a great example of something that we're not just good at, we're really great at that. And we can partner with other institutions, but we often need the attention and help of our folks, our friends in the House and Senate, to help free up these large grants. So that's a good example. We've got some things going in the water and energy, where water, energy, and food all come together that impact our world, and that's just key to our land grant mission. So there's a few areas like that if we articulate them and then really bring our friends in the State House and in the Federal House and Senate to awareness that these are our strengths, then we can really start leveraging those into higher resources for our faculty.
David, what do you think the future is as far as garnering more industry research?
Well, we have to reach out to industry and find out what their needs are. We need to, it's part of our applied research. It's part of fulfilling our land grant mission, is to understand what industry needs from our research faculty. And we hope to be able to be so integral to their providing solutions for them that they'll help fund this research. We're in a fundraising mode with them.
Well, this sounds like a great partnership to me, but have all the ins and outs of how this is going to work exactly been established?
Not completely finalized. We're in discussions with our deans and associate deans for research. And in fact, David and I are meeting on an ongoing basis with the provost to really work out the details. Organizational structures and reporting lines and all that good stuff. But the reality is, right now, if any corporate entity comes to either one of us, we're working in such good partnership that we don't have to have a finalized, detailed organizational structure to meet their needs.
So you're looking for ways to maximize the research opportunities for our faculty that actually serve the public.
That is correct.
Well, I think there is that circumstance today that corporations are going to look for something for them, whether it's employees or research or what it is. Dollars are too precious to just waste. So, well, I think we got the right folks here leading our research effort, and I think the combination of these two entities, the university and the research foundation, I think is going to be a big success, and we're really looking forward to your administration here at Stillwater, and we're glad that we keep David Waits out of private industry and helping move this forward as well.
Well, I hope to keep him having enough fun that he'll stay with us a long time.
That's right. So I think his son wants you to do that. I'm kidding. Matt's a great guy. Well, that's another edition of Inside OSU. I'm glad you got to see inside research in this, at least at some level. And we're looking for big things to happen here at Oklahoma State. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.